In this lecture, we'll continue on with our in-house repair process. And so now I'm fulfilling the role of a in-house repair manager. So typically what would happen is I would run my list of service orders for my location or my group of people, whatever that might be, however they want to manage it. So in this case, I'm just going to run it for, let's say PC Rep is my work center, the work center that I'm responsible for. So I'll run this list. I'll get a list of all the service orders that are in my work center, in my domain of responsibility. And I would take a look at them and do whatever I need to do to update them in terms of assigning them, putting the dates in as we did before. And then typically, well, it depends, but quite often, what would happen is that the orders with the work orders, the service orders, would then be printed out because there's still quite a large segment of folks out there who prefer printed service orders, work orders, rather than electronic for various reasons. Maybe they don't have access to PCs, maybe they're not PC savvy, whatever the reason is. Some people just prefer printed documents. And so it's not unusual that a manager would print out a whole stack of work orders for the day or for the week, and then the responsible technicians would then come and pick them up. So in customer service, the printed documents are called shop papers. So unlike in SD where we have output and materials management where we have messages, every module seems to have its own description of printed documents, and so for service management they are called shop papers. So there's a bunch of ugly ones that come by default. Of course, just like anything else in SAP, you can change these with SAP script or whatever, Adobe Forms, whatever technology you want to use to change the printed documents. But I thought I'd just at least show you what comes out of the box, and so you can visualize what would happen here. So let's imagine that the manager is going to print out the stack of work orders for the day, and here's what they might look like. So the technician would pick up, they would have their name on it. Let's see if this one has it. Person responsible. So I'm Samuel Brothers. I pick up all the work orders for myself, and I see, okay, here's the order number, here's the description of the service order, here's the start date, priority, etc., etc. And then also of interest is going to be, and this is just, I pulled the shop paper that's got everything on it. Also of interest is going to be the actual serial number of the product, so I can make sure I'm working on the right one. So I'd be looking for the Maxi R3100 with the serial number 10414. So that's what would happen. I'd get these shop papers, and then I would usually, well, it depends on the person, but quite frequently and frankly, they might just ignore this whole service order and they'd go about doing their work. They'd go ahead and they'd repair that PC, and when they finished, they would need to record their labor and whatever parts they used against the service order, so that then the customer could be billed for that those time and materials. So the way they would do that would be to go over to within customer service, within confirmation, entry IW41, and we saw this before with our service contract scenario, but we're going to add a little twist to it this time. So we want to confirm, do a confirmation for this work order. So they're looking at their printed piece of paper and they see it's for 503, 504. They come in this screen and they would do a couple things. One would be they would put in the time they actually worked. So it was, let's say it only took them an hour to replace the drive. That's probably all they would do in here. The other thing they would do is go up here to goods movement, and that's where they would record any materials that were used. So the spare parts, whatever they used in fixing the product, and in our case, we're going to put in, so we'll look for the material we're going to put in, and we're going to use some kind of, see if we have something, some kind of drive out there. So let's say we're replacing a CD drive, and there's one of those, and it's asking for a storage location. Where did you pull this from? And let's say we pulled it from location 1. Now, as we saw in earlier lectures, you can of course plan the materials ahead of time, which would reserve them in stock if it's a stock item, but you don't have to do that. So maybe there's just a whole lot of these CD drives sitting around the repair shop. It's not something they need to reserve, so they just consume it when they use it without planning it. So I put in the part number there, and I save it. So upon save, what should happen is I get a posting goods movement message, which is a goods movement for the CD drive that I used. And then I should also get a labor confirmation as well for the 1 hour of activity I'm recording there. And I get a message at the bottom, goods movement 1 failed 0, so that's good. And we can display the confirmation. So we'll go to display, enter. And so this is the confirmation I just created. And if I want to look at the goods movement, one thing I want to point out here is this movement type of 261. That means we took the material from stock and we consumed it onto the order, the service order. So that means the costs were transferred from inventory in the warehouse and posted to the order, the service order. That's what the 261 is. So we'll back out, and so that looks fine. So let's go now and check our service order and see if those costs have shown up. So we'll go over here to costs, and indeed now we have internal material spares and actual of $80. That must have been the cost of the CD drive. And now we have actual labor, so $44 an hour for actual labor. So we've got, the standard plan for this repair was $220. It ended up only costing $124. Let's see if there's anything else of interest that we might see. So we didn't, again, we're on components. We didn't plan that CD drive, but we did actually use it. And if we go up here to document flow, we can see now that there's a goods issue. That's the goods issue we just created. I can link to that if I'd like. Takes me into the goods issue document. I can even drill down into the accounting entries for that if I want. Let's do that just for kicks. There's my 261 with a negative, meaning it was removed from stock. Let's see the accounting document here. So it should be hitting inventory. So yeah, it's moving it from trading goods inventory, and it's hitting this order, our service order here. So that looks good. Go back, go back, go back. So in our scenario, so let's say the work is now complete. It just required an hour of labor and a replacement drive. In our case, we used a CD drive. So from the execution perspective, we have finished the work. So what we would do then is we would go up here and complete technically. We are done with the work. So we're going to hit that flag. And we get a little message here, repair confirmation to sales order. Operations will be generated according to repair procedure with following, free to be delivered, yada, yada, yada. So what that's telling us in SAP speak is that because we have completed the repair, now back on our repair sales order, it's going to be considered that there is one item to be delivered back to the customer. So because we've completed the repair, it makes sense that we should now be able to deliver it back to the customer. We get a date and time stamp for completing our service order. And you may notice I use the terms work order and service order interchangeably because they are interchangeable in the business. So don't get confused by that. Little message here, generate items for repair service. So that means in the background on our sales order, a new item is getting generated. And it has saved now our service order and saved in the background our repair order. So let's go backwards. We'll go into our service order just to show you you can go both ways. We'll go document flow, and that's how we can get to our original repair order. So we'll display that document. And here it is. Here's our repair sales order, our repair order. Let's click on the repair button. And now let's check our dashboard for where we are in the process. And now instead of having one under repair, it's moved forward into one repaired. So we can also see the history here that one was returned, one was repaired, and one outbound delivery is ready to be generated. That's also up here for delivery. So there's one to be delivered. And we can also, if you'll recall, check behind the scenes by selecting our main repair item, saying select all, and we should see a few more lines in here now, and we do. So this last one is the one that's going to generate the outbound delivery. And if I double click on that and go forward, yes, I'm not going to the repair screen. I'm going to the last item there, 10300, IRAL, repaired goods delivery. So that's the one that's going to create the outbound delivery. So I think we will stop there and continue on in a future lecture.